Welcome. Tonight, I'm going to tell you 3 stories that will make you shiver in your seat. These stories are not for the faint of heart, so if you're not easily scared, then turn away now. But if you're looking for a good scare, then you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the horror. It was a Friday afternoon, and most of the students at Central High School were already gone for the weekend. But for a small group of students, the day was far from over. They had been caught breaking school rules and were now being forced to stay for after-school detention. The detention room was a small, cramped space in the basement of the school. It had no windows and only a few flickering lights. The students sat at desks in the center of the room, their faces illuminated by the eerie light. The teacher supervising the detention was a strict, middle-aged woman named Ms. Miller. She was known for her no-nonsense attitude and her sharp tongue. Ms. Miller sat at her desk at the front of the room, her eyes scanning the students. She was a forbidding figure, and the students were all afraid of her. "All right, students," she said in a cold voice. "Welcome to detention. I hope you all learned your lesson. Now, settle down and get to work." The students groaned and reluctantly started working on their assignments. But they couldn't concentrate. They were all too aware of Ms. Miller's watchful eyes. Suddenly, one of the students, a girl named Sarah, let out a scream. "What is it?" Ms. Miller demanded. "I don't know," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "I just saw something move in the corner of the room." Ms. Miller rolled her eyes. "Don't be ridiculous, Sarah," she said. "There's nothing in this room but us." But Sarah was adamant. "I saw something," she said. "It was dark and shadowy." The other students looked around nervously. They could all feel a sense of dread creeping over them. "All right, that's enough," Ms. Miller said. "Get back to work." But the students couldn't concentrate. They were all too scared. They kept glancing over at the corner of the room, where Sarah had seen the shadowy figure. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. The room was plunged into darkness. The students screamed and panicked. They tried to find their way to the door, but they couldn't see anything. "Ms. Miller," they cried. "Help us." But Ms. Miller was nowhere to be found. The students huddled together, terrified. They could hear something moving in the darkness. It was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, a cold hand reached out and touched one of the students. The students screamed in terror. The other students scattered, running for their lives. But the shadowy figure was faster. It chased them through the darkness, its claws outstretched. One by one, the students were caught. The shadowy figure dragged them away into the darkness. When the lights finally came back on, the detention room was empty. Ms. Miller and the students were gone. The next day, the police investigated the disappearances. But they couldn't find any trace of Ms. Miller or the students. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The detention room was sealed off, and Central High School remained haunted by the mystery of the after-school detention. It was prom night at Central High School. The students were dressed in their finest attire, ready for a night of dancing, fun, and romance. The prom was held in the school gymnasium, which had been decorated with twinkling lights and streamers. The students danced to their favorite music, sipped on sparkling drinks, and laughed with their friends. But there was one student who was not enjoying the prom. Her name was Emily, and she was feeling increasingly uneasy. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Emily tried to ignore her feelings and focus on having a good time. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She kept glancing over her shoulder, but she never saw anyone. Finally, Emily decided to take a break from the dancing and go to the bathroom. She walked through the empty hallway, her footsteps echoing in the silence. When she reached the bathroom, Emily turned the doorknob and opened the door. But as she stepped inside, she felt a cold hand grab her arm. Emily screamed and turned around. She saw a shadowy figure standing behind her. The figure was tall and thin, with pale skin and long, dark hair. It was wearing a black prom dress and a black mask. Emily tried to pull away, but the figure's grip was too strong. The figure dragged Emily deeper into the bathroom, into the darkness. Emily's screams echoed through the empty hallway, but no one came to help her. The next morning, the students at Central High School were shocked to learn that Emily had disappeared. The police searched the school and the surrounding area, but they couldn't find any trace of her. The prom night tragedy haunted Central High School for years. Students whispered rumors of a ghost that roamed the halls of the school, searching for its lost love. One day, a group of students decided to investigate the rumors. They went to the school at night and snuck into the gymnasium. The gymnasium was dark and silent. The students could hear their own heartbeats pounding in their chests. Suddenly, they heard a noise. It was a soft, moaning sound. The students froze in fear. They looked around, but they couldn't see anything. The moaning sound came again, louder this time. The students followed the sound to the bathroom. They hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened the door. The bathroom was empty. But then, the students saw it. A ghostly figure was standing in the corner of the room. It was the figure of Emily, wearing her prom dress and mask. Emily's ghost raised her hand and pointed to the students. Then, she disappeared. The students screamed and ran out of the school. They never went back. The prom night tragedy remains a mystery to this day. But some say that Emily's ghost still haunts the halls of Central High School, searching for her lost love. The locker room mirror was old and cracked. It had been hanging on the wall for as long as anyone could remember. But no one ever really looked at it. It was just a mirror, after all. One day, a group of students were getting ready for gym class in the locker room. They were chatting and laughing, enjoying the carefree days of high school. One of the students, a girl named Olivia, was standing in front of the locker room mirror. She was adjusting her hair when she noticed something strange. The mirror was reflecting her image, but something was different. Her eyes were black and empty. Her lips were curled into a cruel smile. Olivia gasped and stepped back from the mirror. She shook her head, trying to clear her mind. "Must have been my imagination," she said to herself. Olivia turned away from the mirror and continued getting ready for gym class. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Later that day, Olivia was walking down the hallway when she saw the locker room mirror again. She stopped and stared at it. The mirror was still reflecting her image, but this time, her eyes were glowing red. Her smile was even wider. Olivia screamed and ran away. That night, Olivia had a nightmare. She dreamed that she was trapped in the locker room. The mirror was all around her. In the dream, the mirror spoke to her. It told her that it could give her everything she ever wanted. All she had to do was step into the mirror. Olivia woke up in a cold sweat. She knew that it was just a dream, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it was something more. The next day, Olivia went to school, but she couldn't concentrate. She kept thinking about the mirror. At lunch, Olivia went to the bathroom. She stood in front of the mirror and looked at her reflection. Her reflection smiled at her. "Come to me," the mirror said. "I can give you everything you ever wanted." Olivia took a step towards the mirror. "Don't do it," a voice said behind her. Olivia turned around and saw her friend, Chris. "What are you talking about?" Olivia asked. "The mirror," Chris said. "It's evil." It will take your soul. Don't be ridiculous, Olivia said. It's just a mirror. No, it's not, Chris said. It's something much darker. Olivia looked at the mirror again. Her reflection was still smiling at her. I'm going to do it, Olivia said. No! Chris cried. Don't! But it was too late. Olivia stepped into the mirror. Chris screamed and watched in horror as Olivia's reflection disappeared. The mirror went dark. Chris knew that he had lost his friend. But he also knew that he had saved her soul. The locker room mirror was never seen again. But some say that it's still out there, waiting to claim its next victim. Well, that's it for tonight's horror stories. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel for more scary stories. And remember, the dark is always watching.